Windswept Letters. In the quaint coastal town of Bristow, where the sea whispered secrets to the wind and the lighthouses blinked like silent sentinels, lived a young woman named Alara. She was a quiet soul, working as the town's librarian, often lost between pages of love stories she never dared to live herself. Her days were simple: books, tea, and the comforting rhythm of tides crashing on the shore. One rainy afternoon, while organizing old boxes in the library's attic, Alara discovered a bundle of faded letters tied with a silk ribbon. They were dated back to the 1940s, during the war, and each one was addressed to a man named Thomas Harrow from a woman named Evelyn Moore. The letters were tender, filled with longing, poetry, and a love that time had clearly tried, but failed, to erase. Alara became captivated. Who were these people? Did Thomas ever write back? Why were the letters never mailed? Driven by curiosity and a growing emotional attachment, Alara began investigating. She asked the town's oldest residents, visited the local archives, and even went to the nearby Veterans Memorial. Piece by piece, she uncovered the story of Evelyn, a young nurse who fell in love with Thomas, a soldier stationed overseas. Evelyn had written him letters every week, hoping he would return. But after a battle in France, Thomas went missing in action. Heartbroken and unable to let go, Evelyn tucked the unsent letters away in the library where she worked, Alara's very position decades later. One evening, Alara sat at the beach, holding the last letter in her hand. The setting sun dipped into the sea like a promise, and she whispered the words aloud. Unbeknownst to her, someone was listening. A man named Nathan, a travel writer who had recently moved into town to work on his novel, overheard her. Curious and drawn to her voice, he approached, and the two began talking. What started as casual conversations about literature and lost love soon became daily walks, long dinners, and confessions under the stars. Nathan, inspired by the letters, decided to help Alara give Evelyn's story the ending it never had. They worked together to publish the letters in a book, Windswept Letters, which quickly captured hearts across the country. The story brought new life to the town, and to Alara's own heart. In time, Alara realized something beautiful. While she had once hidden behind stories of love, she was now living one. Nathan, too, found in Alara the kind of love he had always written about but never truly felt. One evening, as the sea breeze danced with her hair and the lighthouse cast its warm glow, Nathan knelt on one knee and said, "Let's write the rest of our story, together." And just like that, Alara's story, once confined to pages and dreams, began anew, with love, with hope, and with the kind of magic only real life could offer. Waves of the Heart. Chapter 1, The First Glance. Amelia Moore had always been drawn to the sea. Living in the quiet coastal town of Havenport, she ran a small bookstore by the shore where the salty breeze slipped through open windows, carrying the scent of old pages and ocean spray. Her days were simple: morning walks on the beach, cups of tea with her best friend Lily, and evenings spent reading under warm lamplight. One late summer afternoon, while closing the shop, she noticed a man standing on the dunes, staring out at the ocean like he was searching for something. He was tall, sun-kissed, with a camera slung around his neck and a thoughtful expression on his face. Their eyes met for just a moment before he turned and disappeared into the breeze. Chapter 2, The Photographer. His name was Julian Hayes, a traveling photojournalist recently returned from years abroad. He had come to Havenport to escape the noise of the world, to find peace in the crashing of waves and the rhythm of tides. One day, as he wandered through town, he stepped into Amelia's bookstore, drawn by the faint sound of a piano playing on an old record. "I'm looking for something real to read," he said, glancing around. Amelia smiled and handed him a worn copy of The Old Man and the Sea. From that moment, something quiet began to grow between them. Chapter 3, Tides That Pull. They spent more and more time together, sunset walks, quiet dinners, photography trips to the cliffs. Julian would show her the world through his lens, and Amelia would introduce him to the poetry of the sea. She was careful, having been hurt before, while he was hesitant, carrying scars of his own. One night, as a storm rolled in, Julian took her hand and said softly, "I never thought I'd find home again, until I met you." Chapter 4, The Distance. But life is never without its tests. Julian received an offer to lead a documentary in South America, an opportunity too important to decline. They stood on the shore before he left, the wind howling around them. "Will you wait for me?" he asked, brushing her hair behind her ear. "I'll be here," she whispered, "like the tides. I'll always come back." And then he was gone. Chapter 5, Letters and Longing. In his absence, Amelia wrote letters she never sent, tucking them between the pages of her favorite books. She poured her heart into every word, waiting patiently as seasons changed. Julian sent postcards, photographs, and promises that one day he would return, not just to visit, but to stay. Chapter 6, The Return. 2 years passed. On the eve of Amelia's birthday, as she closed her shop, she heard the bell above the door ring. She turned, and there he was. Tired eyes, a hopeful smile, and in his hand, the old man and the sea. "I kept it," he said. "It reminded me of you." Amelia crossed the room, heart pounding, and threw her arms around him. "You came back." "I told you," he said, pulling her close, "you're my home." Epilogue, Waves of the Heart. They married the next spring in a small ceremony by the sea, surrounded by friends, books, and the sound of waves. Julian built a studio in town. Amelia expanded her bookstore. And in the rhythm of everyday love, morning coffees, shared silences, the occasional storm, they found something rare and unshakable. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive in a flash of lightning. Sometimes, it rolls in like the tide, quiet, steady, and endless.